secretary, treasurer, auditor, name it, are in place now. You can see that APC is ahead of other parties in preparations for the next general election. Other parties are still struggling to begin e-registration. That's the second issue we'll be analyzing. The first one is the announcement yesterday by Asura Presidential Villa Abuja, the nomination of Taiwo Yedele as Minister of State for Finance. Doris Uzoka Anite has been moved to Ministry of Budget and National Planning as Minister of State. And a lot of things are happening and we can't keep quiet. Some people may be afraid to say, but because of our love for our nation, because of our desire for a united, stable Nigeria, we have to raise what so many people are speaking in hushed tones. The issue of what they have called urbanization agenda of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The Minister of Finance is a Yoruba man. The Minister of State now for Finance is a Yoruba man. Just go beyond there, move over to Power, move over to FIRS, move over to NNPC, move over to Customs, move over to name it, all from the Southwest. Well, the administration may have a defense for it that they are having indeed competent people brought into government, but under Buhari, we also saw what people called Fulanization agenda, which we kicked against here, because the wider implication is what they should be taking a look at. Some people are saying when it gets to a turn, we'll make sure no Yoruba man sees any post, and we shouldn't allow. This is not how to build a nation. So if those around the president should guide him when he's making the next appointment, he should indeed take a look at the map of Nigeria. They should place the map of Nigeria before him for equity, for justice, for federal character, enshrined in our constitution. It brings unity, it brings indeed stability. Gentlemen, my colleagues, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Amishi. Good morning to our listeners and those who are watching us on YouTube. Good morning to my colleagues in the studio too. You see, something happened in the Second Republic, and anytime I reflect on it, I have a strong feeling that we miss it because it's no longer happening. In the Second Republic, the secretary to the government, the attorney general in Borno State under Muhammad Goni were Yorubas. In Kano, the commissioner for finance under Abubakar Rimi was of Yoruba parentage. In Plateau State under Solomon La, the commissioner for trade, industry and cooperatives, Chief Janet from Ogbomoso, a Yoruba person. And if you look at other appointments by Abubakar Rimi in Kano, there were Yorubas, there were Igbos, there were people from South, and they play a key role in his administration. His political advisor was from Bauchi State, not the Kano region, Dr. Bala, who was later murdered. Wow. And then go to the then Gongola State, now Taraba and Arama State. The chief of staff and the cabinet member was Raymond Alok Dopesi, who later in life founded that communication, AIT and Repower, from the then Bende State. Why am I saying this? Was that bridges of understanding were being built around that time, and those bridges are no longer being built today. So if I president, you are elected, and you see a critical sector of the nation, finance, and you name all the key people that are there.
Economy,
finance and economy. You move from the Ministry of Finance itself, you are now having to Yoruba people as Minister and Minister of State. You go to CBN, you go to NNPC, you go all of that things. I think it's not good for us. There is no section of this country that doesn't have competent, intelligent men of integrity that could serve key political positions. And I think we should be conscious of the need to take steps to build the unity of this country. 2 years before he died, I had an interview with him.
Who?
The Matama Sule, Damas Anikano, who at the age of 27 was the first Minister of Petroleum and Mines and Power in this country. At the age of 27 in the First Republic. He told me, he said, Bayo, I am worried about Nigeria. I have spent my life preaching for unity. But it seems as if all what we have done since independence, we have not been able to build concrete pillars for unity.
Okay.
He said, I look at Nigeria today like a country banded by a thread whose strength is less than that of a cobweb.
Okay.
It's a message for all of us.
Kula Adewala's governor of Lagos State for 8 years, Bola Tinubu, brought in other Nigerians into his administration. Some will ask, what has changed now? He's a president.
Morning, Amechi, and good morning to all our listeners and those who are viewing on YouTube, and to my colleagues as well. You preempted me, because as Bayo spoke, I recalled that quite a number of people who are from other ethnic extractions were members of the Bola Tinubu cabinet in Lagos State.
And it became a reference point there.
It was a reference point. I remember that his commissioner for budget and planning, Ben
Mwabweze. No, yes.
I think is I can't remember his name fully now, but it's Joe Ibokwe that I remember the most, because Joe was always in and out of the Kakaki studio in Lagos, because he was always coming on the program at that time, and I had quite a lot of encounters.
Akabweze.
Yes, Akabweze, that's the name. Ben Akabweze. And you remember, he was actually brought into the
Yes, initially.
Yeah. But what has happened to that practice, I really do not know. A whole lot of people, even if you go to Lagos State today, people who are not from Lagos State, people who are not even from the Southwest, are in the State House of Assembly. What's the name of this popular actor? Desmond Elliott. He's a member of the Lagos State House of Assembly. What happened to all of that? Because Bayo has gone back into history, but I'm talking contemporary, that example. Why are we not seeing it more and more at the national level? Because unity is not by mere rhetoric. It's not about just speaking about it.
It's not up by intention.
We have to be intentional. I'm not Taiwo Yedele by all, if you look at his record,
eminently qualified.
Eminently qualified to be minister at whatever level. And I'm not talking about him specifically. I'm talking about the fact that I saw a post on X today where somebody listed the number of people who are Yoruba in the Tinubu cabinet, and if you take a look at it, it pricks your conscience to ask that question: aren't there other people? So that's something that government needs to look at. There should be a spread.
Okay.
And apart from appointments, there must be other efforts by government to ensure that Nigeria is fully integrated.
Very
because
important.
We seem not to have forgotten.
Yes.
That we haven't forgotten about the Civil War. We need to go beyond that. We need to ensure that all of the over 300 ethnic groups in Nigeria feel
given a sense of belonging. Yes,
they must be given a sense of belonging. Nobody should be marginalized.
Absolutely.
That word, marginalized, marginalization. Nobody should be on the margin.
Absolutely. And I said earlier, this is not how to build a nation. Nation building requires tact. It requires statesmanship, and that's what we expect of the president. Someone can argue to a good extent that if you're holding economic management team of the federal government, you can hold it in Yoruba language. You could be hearing Aburo, Kilo Shele, Ekaro, because 90, if not more than 95% of those that will attend are from the Southwest. Does it all go well for a federal republic of Nigeria that has 250 ethnic groups and have over 300 languages?
Amechi, good morning, my colleagues. Good morning, dear listener. We have a stake in the Nigerian project. That is why we are reacting this way. But don't forget, if a man tells you his ambition and tells you what he's coming to do, I think we should take him by his word. He said then at Chatham House that I'm going to work with people of competence. irrespective of party affiliation, irrespective of region. And that is what probably he is doing. With the Yorubanization of the economic team, the indices, macro indices, economic indices are looking good up there. But what the people are saying is not reflecting in the lives of the people. You go out there, there's hunger everywhere. But beyond that, Amici, the movement of Uzoka, people have raised eyebrow. Is it that he's still looking for a round peg and to put her, is she a square peg? Because she read MBBS in my state, those state, Uniben, she was Commissioner for Finance in Imo State. She's ably qualified. We thought that the Finance Ministry would have been the best place for her to ply her trade, but now he's moving her. Reasons best known to the president. And Odile was in the Pure Water Cooper, PwC. PricewaterhouseCoopers, sorry, I said Pure Water. PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Maybe you have a pure water factory. we think all of us are doing. We know there are entrepreneurs among us.
Yes.
Okay.
So
apart from a farmer that is also here.
Yeah. So his wealth of experience cannot be argued, and we just believe, as some of us, some argument I listen over the social media, that let's see what the president is trying to achieve. If he has his brothers, he has his kinsmen in the juicy ministries and juicy parastatals, as the case may be. So let's see. Going to elections, Mr. President, are you listening to cries from outside and from within that your cabinet is not balanced, your appointment is not balanced? Probably the president will listen, but we have to also be careful because when people are doing the jumpology, some of us were clapping, some of us didn't know what was coming. It is one hand. The Senate will approve this appointment one hand. All this one we are raising here, whether it's lopsided or not, it will not come up there because there's one party that is in charge in the National Assembly. So Nigerians have to use their voters card going forward to know who are you going to elect. But how do you even tell a leader that will be balanced? Because politicians, they can double talk.
No, they can be balanced. Obasanjo was very balanced. It's not rocket science. Yar'Adua was balanced. Jonathan was balanced. It's not rocket science. It's not a difficult task.
Amici, you see, good morning to you. Good morning.
It's only when Buhari came in that we started the drift, the extreme drift.
I've said this appears very old, like the president, the Buhari you were mentioning, who most probably were there, saw the civil war and all of those stuff. They are Tinubu, yes, maybe when he became governor, started reaching out, the people were saying he brought it to his government, and all of that. And then his lifetime ambition to be president also saw him reach out across the Niger and some, other places, and all of that. But is still within that generation. Their level of cross-cultural, orientation to a very large extent is limited. It's not a situation where some of them, if you pick their biography, see, though he went to US, you pick their biography, they were born in their villages. Once you know where they are born, you can know that their primary school, their secondary school, most probably the university, the world would have taken out of the place is youth service. It's not like perhaps our generation today, if I'm president, there's no way you'll not be a minister now. There's no way you will not be shy.
No, I don't want to be in your cabinet. I'll be in your kitchen cabinet.
Fine. So that is a challenge. If not, you ask yourself, Ogun State today has 4 ministers. 4.
And some states have 1.
Some states have 1.
At least my state has only 1.
You are talking of your state. The whole of the southeast has 5. 5 states. 5 states have 5 ministers. And out of these 5 ministers, we're talking, a number of them are ministers of state, including the one that
they moved
to budget and
the one that are tossing around, kicking her like a ball.
And then so you ask yourself, the political expediency that some persons were trying to explain in 2023 was that look, the president lost his home state, the southeast. They did not vote for him in the way and manner he expected, so he was trying to consolidate.
The southwest, you mean?
the Southwest, bringing in people from. But it's time to move forward.
The earlier point you raised about being narrow-minded in terms of having broader mind, having networks across Nigeria, you can accuse Buhari of that. And he didn't hide it. But for a Jagaban who has networks across the country, he has friends in almost every state of the federation.
You have friends now.
Yes.
But Tinubu deals with people he trusts. And that's what I'm trying to make you understand. It's a matter of trust. That you are my political associate, that you are a candidate of governorship candidate in my party, in your place, or you are a state chairman in my party, does not make you that kind of close people that
now, what you're saying is that we are moving loyalty from the state to the president, and it's dangerous. Loyalty should be to the state. That's why you see security agencies, their work is all about regime protection. There's what you call state interest, public interest, and we must differentiate the two.
Amici, let me cite, because we're talking of generational, whether it's old. Obasanjo was old enough to when he was in power, and I will cite 4 examples for you. People he met because of his trips outside Nigeria. One of them was Okonjo-Iweala. I can tell you for sure. And she convinced her, come back home. The second one was even one I knew very well, very close to me, who left Nigeria and moved to US as a lecturer. He met him and said, what are you doing here? Your area of specialization is port, marine, and the rest. Come back home. 3 days after he arrived in Nigeria, he was appointed as DG of NIMASA.
He didn't know him from Adam.
From Adams. He met him there.
So you must personally know them. It's not that you're not appointing your personal aides.
And
you're appointing state officials.
The man who became who introduced NAPEP, Dr. Paco. He met him in US. Paco was not a PDP member. He met him in US and brought him back home because his area, he studied economics. His area of specialization was poverty alleviation. He brought him back home. That is the kind of leader we need, who will search for competent people everywhere that will ensure that we galvanize this country to
be. You don't sacrifice competence with loyalty.
I agree with you, Balogun. But what I am also saying is, we must not take away the fact that this is an issue we have on our hands. You may cite, the boy, Obasanjo that I mentioned, yes, he had almost the same background with, what's his name? Buhari military.
Yes,
the military that we know. The fact that they move from the transfer, they deploy them, and all of that.
Anyhow.
They have, but then for Buhari, for instance, he refused to be detached from
completely,
and all of that. So it's a huge challenge that and my hope is that as we're moving forward as a country, where we have a younger generation, or not a younger generation, a generation after the Tinubus, the Obasanjos, the Buharis, the post-independence generation, the post-Civil War generation, and all of that. We're going to have a better, a nation out of Nigeria than the country today. You can't take it. Nigeria is a country, it's not a nation. But we
are called nations state, different nations in the state.
So we are moving from that, like the Gen Zs, and all of that. The way they react, they interact among themselves. They are from their universities. Even their secondary school, primary school, and all of that. You can see a great difference. So there's a great
one quick line from Kunle. You want to drop one quick line?
Yes.
Before Richard comes with the mail.
I was just going to say that President Obasanjo, as he was then, began doing what Bayo described even before he became a civilian president. As military head of state, he was the one who brought Raymond Aleogodopesi back to Nigeria. And
from Poland.
And
he has not met him. Obasanjo, he just heard that there's a competent young man who is an expert in marine engineering.
And he brought him back.
I said, come, let's develop our marine sector.
There's a space for you in the Nigerian Ports Authority. And the rest is history. You can go from one to the other like that. The point I'm making is that everywhere you look, there are qualified Nigerians from different ethnic extractions. And I don't think it should be about who we trust alone. If we give you an assignment and you do not do well, the president can sack you. He has the power to hire and fire.
Okay.
So whether he trusts them or not, he shouldn't trust them wherever they are from. With these positions of responsibility, and let's see how they discharge their
Absolutely.
duties. That's where I stand.
We should not turn Nigeria to countries where such thinking come. You must be loyal to the man at the top and not to any other person. No.
We should much, Dr. Amici. You're now listening to the mail segment on political platform. I am Aricha Ujiti. The first mail coming from Dixon Eka in Abuja says, I congratulate Mr. Oyedele on his nomination as the Minister of State for Finance. While the competency and experience of Oyedele may not be in doubt, the decision of President Tinubu to jettison the provision of the federal character principle in handling virtually every aspect of fiscal and monetary positions, as well as the revenue-generating agencies, to his Yoruba kinsmen beats imagination and needs to be checked. With this appointment, the Minister of Finance, the Minister of State for Finance, the CBN Governor, the GMD of NNPCL, the Accountant General of the Federation, the Auditor General of the Federation, the NRSC, the NRS Chairman, the Customs Controller General, and virtually every position that has to do with finance or revenue are comprehensively in the hands of the Yorubas. This is high-level nepotism, and it is not good for our democracy. Now that Oyedele is going to be in charge of fiscal policy, he should advise President Tinubu on two things. One, it is good to make use of budget and to use the huge budget revenue generated to fund budgets to enable ministries, departments, and agencies pay contractors. Internally generated revenue is not the only source of income for the government. President Tinubu should work more on non-oil export and stop suffocating the citizens with taxes upon taxes to generate revenue. Omolayo John, writing from Uruzu, says, where there is an uproar in Africa, no other continent goes on demonstration. My advice, we need to protest against insecurity and economic saga in Africa and in Nigeria. We are supposed to protect for economic growth, technology development, and better standards of living. Nigeria's permanent interest in foreign relations is better than religious interest. God bless Nigeria. Ugochukwu Godwin, writing from Lagos, says, with a constant rise in the price of Brent crude owing to the US, Israeli, and Iran attacks, I expect the Nigerian government to start saving and boost the excess crude amount that has been depleted. In 2008, excess crude account was $20 billion, but consistent withdrawals and low oil production dragged it to 2 billion naira in 2015. As at the end of 2025, it is just over $535,000. With the monies at the disposal of the governors, no one would for such money to be shared. The citizens have started feeling the impact of the war in the Middle East as oil marketers suddenly increased their pump price to 900 naira. The electricity workers have threatened strike, and the Minister of Power is busy with his governorship ambition. The Band A is no longer banding again, and NERC is no more biting since relinquishing control to states. It's time to bring back the weekly ministerial briefings where realities are shared in open space and citizens become aware of issues. Amechi Obochi, writing from Kubwa, says, it is no longer news that the United States and Iran have been exchanging missile strikes across their territories. What is now of great concern is the implication for Nigeria's economy. If this escalation persists, should the US, Israel, Iran bombardments and counter bombardments continue, Nigeria may once again face serious economic headwinds. Nigeria's economy remains highly vulnerable to crude oil price volatility. When crude prices rise sharply, the economy is strained. When they fall, it also suffers. Either extreme exposes the structural weakness of an oil-dependent system. With traffic reportedly suspended in the Strait of Hormuz, a critical route that carries about 20% of global oil supply, prolonged instability could trigger fresh economic disruption for Nigeria. This underscores the urgent need for Nigeria to lead Africa in industrialization. However, meaningful industrialization cannot begin without reliable power, energy, and electricity. If Aso Rock proceeds to disconnect from the national grid and transition to solar power, With that signal a broader commitment to achieving 24/7 affordable electricity nationwide, the kind required to truly power industrial growth. Indeed, that is all we can take on your mails today. Keep sending your mails with your name and where you're writing from to politicalplatform@dargroup.com.
Thank you so much for the mails. Victor Teve is saying, making a request, if you become president, make him Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. He is eminently qualified. So lobby is already besieging you.
When you talk about humanitarian, what comes to mind most times is IDPs and all of that.
And
there won't be IDPs.
he wants to share money and feed school children. Victor, you want to share? Okay. So quickly, APC is almost ready for the 2027 general elections. Clearly, other parties are sleeping, confused, and snoring. APC has finished its digital registration. APC has successfully conducted its state congresses, and our feast, is it March 30 or what? End of this month?
28 to 29.
28 for its national convention. Other parties are either in court, or they're disagreeing, or they're agreeing to disagree.
That's why it's called the ruling party. So if they don't go the way and manner they are going, then you ask yourself what actually is wrong. So it's not surprising. It's quite unfortunate that the opposition have not lived up to expectation. Like we advise them, they need to put up their thinking caps. Forget about the fight for power and all of that. They should be able to. It is when you have the platform that you can, run with all of that. But if, for instance, lots of the digital register, automatically you cannot even nominate.
21 days to the election.
Yeah, you can't even nominate any candidate.
You know the implications of that, Bayo Badore. You must submit your register of voters to INEC 21 days before primaries. If you want to defect, this is the time to defect. 21 days to the election, you can't defect overnight and grab another party's ticket.
Register of members, not voters.
A register of members, yes.
Yeah. You see, I have my worry. We may be accusing the opposition parties of being disseminated, not active. It's also not good for democracy. There is no way you will run away from the fact that external influences, capital letter underlined, destroy the opposition parties. That is the truth. You must not run away from it.
Is the truth.
My fear is that if we keep on clapping, that APC is moving at a high speed and is achieving what it ought to achieve, the outcome of it, I am looking forward, I'm worried, maybe total voter apathy. But people may deliberately now say, what are we looking
What
to
stops the other political parties, the opposition, from organizing to defend its...
No, they are waiting for the president of the ruling party to fix their...
The president has said, I don't have run over your head. So you do your own work, dirty job, just like a man who has a family. You protect your family. If you have a beautiful wife, if you have a beautiful wife, you get interest. Now it's left for you as a man to shield that beautiful wife from those intruders. So is it not the responsibility? I understand what you're saying, that maybe the government of the day is going beyond the extreme to cause this confusion, but those political parties must display sense of responsibility in defending their own lines.
We congratulate the APC for their defeat so far they've achieved, but I also call for caution so that our contributions or discussions of that don't also look as suppressing the opposition. I think we should be encouraging equal participation in politics, in electioneering. Let's wake up the opposition, not that we suppress them in our own communication, in our own analysis.
The opposition will continue to be weak if the individuals in the opposition are just held on to their own ambitions. They are not interested. Atiku is not interested in building an ADC. He's only interested in becoming president. Peter Obi is not interested in building an ADC. He's only interested in becoming president. What are the other ones? Amechi and Congo. So he's only interested in becoming president.
What was that said? President or vice president?
Vice president.
So nobody is ready to.
They are sleeping and thinking that office. They are not thinking the platform.
So what even stops the opposition party from infiltrating the APC?
Exactly.
In fair, in war, all is in war and love. How do they even put it?
All is fair.
All is fair. You know.
Besides, most of them also came from the APC.
So if they are infiltrating you, infiltrate them. Nobody. There are many legal ways you can infiltrate them without breaking the law. But we're out of time today. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good time.